G'day guys, Sean from Cardenclad here, and I've got Jimmy and Jamie from Collective Logistics to join for a little podcast today. How you boys going?
Very well, thanks. Thanks for having us.
No worries.
Thank you very much. Great to be here.
Another day in paradise. Obviously, we're all based up in the Gold Coast, so we like to refer to these guys as our favourite local customer. There's not a lot of competition around the Burleigh heads.
You're too kind.
Yeah, but you know the 4220 represent kind of crew down here. So we've even got a local beer here for our afternoon catch up towards the end of the week. So guys, thanks for joining us today. Just for those of you who maybe haven't seen the case study or don't know about your business, do you want to give us a little bit of background about Collective Logistics?
Yeah, for sure. It's something that Jimmy and I have had in the pipeline for a little while now. We put our brains together, and it's something that we're really proud of where we've come so far, and we've Jim.
And how long have you and Jimmy known each other?
I think it's been, at least 10 years now.
Yeah, it must be close to about 10 years. I guess me and Jamie have been buds for a long time through in and out of surfing, travelling, everything else, living together. And
we're trying to loosely discuss, when did we first meet? And I think I've been friends with Jimmy's brother, Jono, for a little bit longer. And then we slowly all just became friends.
Do you like Jimmy more than Johnny now?
Maybe take it. Yeah.
Now, we did say when we were talking, we weren't going to talk about the South America bike trip, but we'll put that on another podcast another time, guys. So do you want to just maybe also give us a bit of background on how you guys ended up starting Collective Logistics? So what I've loved about working with you guys has been the story that you guys came with, and then how you sort of parlayed that into what's a really cool little business. So maybe just in your own words, do you want to take us through what you guys did professionally, and then how Collective Logistics kind of came out of that?
Cool, yeah. Well, pretty much Jamie and I were working for a Burleigh-based apparel company. They're probably a medium-sized business, 20, 25 staff or so. We're working together and kind of had a fair bit of understanding how they manage their logistics. Mm-hmm. Jamie stayed back working for the local company, and I jumped over to a larger organisation where I kind of learned how they were managing their warehouse management systems. And obviously we're still good buds, hanging out daily, but kind of connecting the dots as to how medium-sized apparel businesses were managing their sort of daily operations on the back end, and then how the larger guys were doing it. And kind of just saw that the larger guys obviously had a lot more time and investment in their logistics. And basically what we saw was just an opportunity for those medium-sized businesses that didn't necessarily see the value in their logistics. They would probably more so focusing on their sales and their marketing and their product.
Yeah. It was always an afterthought for the smaller companies, and I think the big companies made it such a priority. And I guess just having that efficiency at the larger level is so important, but I think the smaller to medium-sized companies still really need that value add.
And both of the businesses were actually handling their own fulfillment, right? So they were handling their own logistics with third-party carriers, but it was all handled in-house.
Yeah, which is kind of we learned how one did it so much better than the other, which is where we learned about the systems that they use and those sorts of things. But we kind of put our heads together and asked how many businesses like the medium-sized apparel businesses that we're working for are out there.
And these are still decent-sized companies. And
you guys were working both on wholesale and online, right? Because you've been there for a few years, so that transition to a more e-commerce or online fulfillment, you saw that firsthand, right?
Yeah, well, Jimmy was definitely 100% focused on the online sector. I was working as account manager in the wholesale business, and I could completely see the online sales coming. And I really felt like I really wanted to get more into that side of the market, and that's where the majority of the opportunity was. We really set ourselves up to be direct to consumer, D2C.
Yeah. And so I interrupted your story there. So from there you were seeing that shift coming, and then I guess what happened from there to Collective, because obviously probably not the first people to sit there and think e-commerce is coming, but you guys are now running a pretty high volume 3PL here on the Gold Coast. So there's a few steps in between A and B there.
Big time. Well, I guess there's a lot of sort of medium-sized apparel businesses between, all over Australia, but particularly Gold Coast, Byron-based. A lot particularly that don't, necessarily want to invest in their logistics. So that's kind of where we come along, and that's pretty much our target market.
Yeah, we just started planning it out, just thinking, okay, can we do this? Is there a way to group everyone up together? Is there a software company?
Did you know what third-party logistics was at that stage? Or maybe I should ask a different question. How much did you know about third-party logistics at that stage?
Only commercial volumes, not really smaller scale.
We understood there was at a large scale that you could do that.
Mortar volumes of... maybe 5,000.
10,000 metre squared warehouses, and
it was almost like this distant thing that was at an arm, it wasn't possible. You'd heard of it, but you didn't. Did anyone do that? Is that even a thing? Sort of
The
was my
barriers to
understanding.
entry for a medium-sized business were just too high.
Yeah.
So it's pretty much where Collective kind of came from. If we were those medium-sized apparel businesses that don't want to invest, do it ourselves, we absorb the risk and the expenses. What are our options?
Yeah.
And there essentially weren't really any other than going to those commercial-sized spaces.
So we didn't know. There was nothing, I guess, in our mind that was in that middle tier.
All right, so you sort of found the opportunity for that middle-sized sort of business to start taking on some of their fulfillment, because you'd seen what good looked like and you'd seen what they were doing and seen an opportunity. So what was what was that vision, and how did that change when how do you take that vision and how did you go and start approaching some customers and sort of making that a reality as well?
Yeah, well, I think we really wanted to map out what our service would look like and what would be our key point of difference. And I think ultimately, just mapping that out from exactly can we pull it off? Is there a software company that can help us have an amazing level of accuracy? And then is it our service and what components of our service are we going to build on that's really going to set us apart from the rest? And that's probably been the biggest thing for Jim and I, being so genuine and so transparent with the service that we offer. We've really been able to connect with the customers in that way. So to answer your question, really we spent at least 6 to 10 months maybe mapping out exactly what it would look like as a business before we went and started approaching customers with a sales pitch, which is this is what we have to offer you guys.
And how do you think, I think we've spoken again before about that niche, but how do you think you've been able to differentiate yourself in that niche, and what is that niche for taking a different approach to the fulfillment of those medium-sized companies?
Yeah, well, I guess probably the biggest separator that why businesses are scared of going elsewhere is probably just losing that disconnect, which is where we've kind of really tried to refine ourselves, making sure that our clients are connected, whether it's to their product, their customer experience.
Yeah, so the biggest barrier to someone outsourcing from doing it themselves to taking on a 3PL, because I think that's where most of your customers are coming from, is the control or the...
Exactly.
It's their baby. They don't want to... they've put so much time, energy and love into it, and they're to give it off to someone else is scary. And I think what we've been able to do is break down that that resistance or fear of losing that control.
And so how have you done that? Because that's a really interesting... it's the same where you're going to someone who's got an alternative 3PL, maybe you're just arguing on cost or service or turnaround times, but when you're going from someone who doesn't have it, how have you been able to break down and build that trust?
Yeah, I would say more so probably just how we sort of describe ourselves as client focused. We say that we're obviously, our entire model's geared towards what the client needs, and that can be anything from our pricing structure to our flexible terms, no lock-in contracts, no minimum volume requirements, and those little terms of service that we offer that aren't, necessarily as scary as what someone else is offering. So it's a little barrier of entry as to why they'd use us. And that runs deep through our pricing structure and everything else. It's just pretty much, we've seen what's out there. We put ourselves in the shoes of the brand and what they want to see, and that's pretty much what we offer.
That's a good thing to touch on. I think we always looked at it as because we come from brands, what would a brand want? What would I want as an owner of a brand or a company? What interactions would I want with a 3PL? And so every time we thought of a service or the way that we would structure our approach to a company would always be, in their best interest or as what we would want to have put forward to us. Yeah.
And now we're down that track, and you guys have got a successful little 3PL that's not even a little 3PL. You guys are doing thousands of orders in weeks, and
I think we just knocked over 22,000 orders in the first 5 months.
22,000, which is a bit of a milestone for us, which is pretty exciting.
Yeah, so not bad, guys.
It's
been pretty impressive watching that journey.
I don't know how many we've packed ourselves. Got a few.
I think all 22,000.
Yeah, and so obviously, you guys are focusing on that e-commerce, and I've just downloaded the latest AusPost online shopping update, and just some stats that sort of jumped out. I think we all know that e-commerce is coming and it's growing, but August was actually a record month for e-commerce in Australia. That was the biggest month that we've ever had of online sales, and this is a September update, so hazard a guess that the October update might well say that September was the biggest. And I think the other one that jumped out at me from here was that between March and August 2020, over 8.1 million households shopped online, which was an increase of 16% compared to the same period of last time. So basically 900,000 more households shopped online than this time last year. How do you think that's and I think it's pretty uncontroversial to say that some of that's been driven by the COVID-19 pandemic.
Yeah.
What have you guys seen firsthand with customers, and in your own experience, has kind of been the impact of that shift to e-commerce driven by the pandemic, and how has that impacted your interactions, whether that's new customers, existing customers, or anything on the fulfillment side?
Yeah, I think we can both probably agree that a lot of our clients and what we believe is a big shift, and I guess from B2B business to D2C, and I guess it's obvious that whether it's more margin for the business themselves or for whatever reason they choose to go down that avenue. But we've just seen a big shift in energy from our clients wanting to fulfill D2C as opposed to B2B.
Yeah, definitely. I think this is the traditional retail model, the wholesale, like brick and mortars, kind of, it has been struggling, and it's going to continue to sort of like be hard to make ends meet. And I think for brands to go direct to consumer, it's kind of like in their best interest to kind of control the customer experience end to end.
And have you seen that driving outsourcing of the logistics and fulfillment in any way?
Yeah, well, something that we've always sort of realised or been touching on ourselves is that companies aren't really want to stick to that rigid model so much anymore, and we've kind of given them the ability to be more flexible by outsourcing the components of the logistics or that they actually need at the time. So the warehousing for the products that have just landed, which might be smaller for one season than the next season. So just giving them that extra ability to be more flexible and less rigid. I think it's the pandemic's kind of driven people to look outside the usual business structure or model that they've been used to or have seen before.
So you're seeing more opportunities for
way
3PL?
Way more opportunities for 3PL and what we're doing.
And the ears are just open. Hey, like basically when we're approaching clients, they're willing to listen. Whereas 12 months ago, when everything was trading well, maybe they necessarily wouldn't have given us a chance to explain why it's so beneficial. But now they're open to whether it's the flexibility or the cost savings. They're definitely more open than ever before to hearing us out.
And how about obviously we're based here in the sunny Gold Coast, Burleigh based.
Yeah.
What element do you think the Gold Coast element has had? Like, I think are you targeting the local businesses, or has it sort of been has there been anything else about like any shifts over the last sort of 6 months that you've seen that have leaned on that Gold Coast location?
I think with business owners, it's just a great place to run a business, to grow a business. We're beachside. The post here is like we've got great access to the depots. Like you do that overnight express. So I think this Gold Coast region in itself is growing exponentially, and it's a perfect location to do what we're doing. I think because more and more business owners want to be here and to grow their businesses here. Yeah,
definitely. Like big believer in obviously the emerging market, and more so our client that we target are just so relevant to the Gold Coast.
Yeah, absolutely, and that makes sense. Obviously, there are a lot of small, medium size, whether that's fashion, wellness, activewear, those sorts of brands, and I think that's we've certainly seen through the pandemic that there's been more people that we look to sort of either work with or hire or whatever that have been able to move to the Gold Coast away from places like Sydney and Melbourne, because obviously I think the move to the work from home and just the shifts in the economy of the pandemic have been a boon for places like the Gold Coast. So hopefully we see that keeping on tracking. So one thing that I'm really keen to have a chat about, boys, is you guys came from, and I can see some smirks and some smiles here because we've had a pretty fun journey today.
We've had a great journey.
You guys came from from logistics experience, and I think you might have slightly undersold the size and sophistication of the organisations you'd worked in. You'd come and you'd seen really good, and you'd seen like basically as good a software as money can buy, and like some pretty slick processes. So and you'd seen maybe something that was closer to okay. Yeah. But you didn't come from the third party logistics background, and now you're running a third party logistics company. And one thing that I'm keen to have a chat about is maybe what were some of the things that coming into that business that you didn't really foresee, or that were a little bit of a surprise once you started, not packing your own orders in an SAP run warehouse. You started running your own warehouse and had a few different customers. So what was some stuff that you didn't see coming?
I think the biggest thing was for us is just the sheer time and energy it would take to process, say, 5,000 units or 10,000 units. We kind of really overlooked like the amount of stock that was coming in, and like how long it would take to count like 100, 200 boxes worth of stock and have deadlines of, we're launching in, say, 3 days and there's 15,000 units that need to be counted in. Jimmy and I on our hands and knees till like 10 at night just trying to count all this stock.
You can plan so much and you can put how much time it takes to,
and we're like,
pick 3 items and send them in the post.
I guess when you're making those business plans, a number in a spreadsheet, you go, we only need like 2.6 packers. It's like, it turns out that number was out by a while.
Yeah.
And when you start a new business, you don't have just a guide ready to go, or we were so protective of every element of it that we just were hands on for every little thing. And we didn't foresee how long a lot of that processing would take, and then how little time we'd have to work on the business. We were just continually in it, just non-stop. I think, we didn't come up for air for at least 2 to 3 months.
Yeah, pretty much since we signed the lease, and something that we kind of didn't foresee was just how little time we'd have to spend on the business. We were pretty much just in survival mode. Obviously, we hit the ground running. Our first priority is obviously to follow through on our same day dispatch. So that was our number one priority, and pretty much all we really did for the first 3 months was pick and pack.
Yeah, I think we had
Jamie
one weekend off. Yeah,
Jamie and I.
And I'll be honest that we obviously chatted to you quite a lot through those, and I think on the first day that you were picking and packing, when you said how many orders you'd picked, Scott, who did your implementation, and I looked at each other and went, wow, that's a lot of orders. Like these boys, for people who maybe hadn't done the 3PL, obviously it worked in logistics, but it was like, wow, you guys got that process down pretty.
Totally. I think we had no choice.
Yeah, pressure makes diamonds, right? So
survival mode, and just I think we had over 2,000 orders rolling in the first week, and it was that was just went straight from 0 to crazy, and we got it done, but it's all a bit of a blur now.
Yeah.
I think,
no, it's so easy, right?
We just did it.
Pack themselves.
Yeah, pretty much. But it's cool to see how much things have improved. Like, we've streamlined the process so much now, and we think back on those first days, and we're doing things way harder than they needed to be.
So was there any before we go into maybe some of the lessons, like as in anything else that you didn't see coming, or that was a surprise once you got into it?
Well, we kind of covered.
Well, I guess so. The pandemic we didn't see coming.
That
was something that obviously kind of was, for us, truly was the perfect storm. It allowed us to, obviously not only benefit from the volumes, but the open ears of businesses wanting to.
Like everyone, kind of, daunting at first, thinking when stuff first started happening. And then as it started to unfold, we're like, okay, wow, this is actually like a really positive thing for online business and for the brands, because it was really the only way to produce any revenue. And we kind of really felt like we were in this perfect position to help these companies survive and get through it. And so it was a perfect storm, worked out so nicely, to keep things moving, keep getting a lot of orders in, which, so.
Fantastic. Well, what about the other side of that? What about, coming from a non-third-party logistics background, so unencumbered from any preconceived notions or expectations. What are some things you reckon you've been able to where has that been an advantage, or what are some things that you think maybe not having 20 years of having seen how 3PL warehouses are run, where you think that it's been able to help your business?
Yeah, it's been super beneficial, just because pretty much Jamie and I always speak of it, but I guess what we did is a lot of market research. We did literally months and months of what is every competitor in Australia offering. And basically what they were offering to us made such little sense. Whether from their pricing structure, it was so geared towards what the 3PL needed, that pretty much being so green as to why they were doing that was perfect, because we flipped it on its head and basically changed the entire pricing structure as what they were offering or what everyone was offering.
Now, we don't have to go away giving any secret herbs and spices here, but how did you go on, help line up yourselves with the customers, at least, at a high level, so.
Referring to the pricing stuff, or just
you took a different approach.
We kind of just made it client focused. Like I said,
we'd come from the brands, and we were in the shoes of the brands, and by brands, obviously, just from the business side, which businesses would look to outsource to 3PL. So we're always looking through the scope of what do they want, which kind of led into.
We couldn't make heads or tails of half of the documentation we were being given. I remember, we were kind of all right, we needed to put together some pricing. And me and Jim filtered through all of these pricing docs, and I was like, man, I don't even know what the price is.
Yeah, if I'm a business and I know how many orders I sell, how many inbound deliveries I receive, all my overheads, I still couldn't make sense of how much logistics
all sorts of tapes and other
Mm-hmm.
additional things, and I'm like, yeah, okay, that's cool. Like, you charge for tape, but then okay, so how many boxes are going to need to be taped up. Like, I don't know, like I've got so much stock coming. So we were trying to just
strip it back.
Let's just simplify this. And the biggest thing was making sure the pricing aligned with the cash flow of the business. So we wanted our clients to only have to pay after they'd sold products, like, you know, predominantly majority of the,
obviously covering some costs on the way, but
majority of the costing would be to when they've sold products. So we were always aligned with them. So our success is aligned with their success, and that's how we always wanted our business to be structured. So we're kind of like, in a sense, lean on a little bit more scoping of the brands that we want to work with as well, because we really want to make sure that they're heading in a trajectory of growth and success and on a pathway that we want to really follow, because it's important to us that they're partnerships. And
we kind of always refer to ourselves as an extension of their team. Don't look at us as, you know, a third-party entity that's managing the logistics. We're essentially part of their team. We're all in it together. And that's kind of, I guess, where a lot of our successes come from, just that client focus.
Yeah, awesome. Any other areas you reckon it's helped you, maybe not coming from the third-party logistics background?
Maybe just the motivation. Like, I guess we're having we're literally picking and packing. So I was running e-com stores in the past, where I was sitting on a comfy computer chair. So I guess now that we're picking and packing, we've been like the sense of motivation where I wasn't too exhausted doing it. Like, it was all fun and games. Obviously 20,000 orders later, it starts to get a little old. But
I will say that one other thing you guys might to sell yourself on is you have the cleanest warehouse I've ever been to. So I think maybe that might be where you're, maybe you don't develop those habits in a different warehouse. I'll give you that. So
we're on the deck, scrubbing the decks.
Pretty schmicko. Well, we came from a pretty cushy job, so I definitely didn't want to I don't know, didn't be slumming it all too hard.
Exactly. We needed a nice place to work. And it works well, obviously, when people come through our space.
We're so proud to show them, and like love hearing like when customers are like, I feel organised, like just standing here, and that's kind of like.
But why does it have to be messy? A warehouse, of course, like there's no.
That's almost like a stereotype. Warehouses are messy, and we're kind of like, well, why?
For sure.
Sweep up.
Roll down some vinyl timber.
The vinyl timber is a nice touch, and the white boxes, we love that.
It's pretty bright. It's pretty nice. So then the last thing that I wanted to touch on is sustainability. Something that we've obviously spoken before and we're pretty passionate about, but it's also something that's been, I think, the way in which the logistics industry can start adopting some sustainable practice, but in a way that also, there's a necessary amount of, I think, waste and consumption and also emissions and stuff with just the whole logistics industry. And I think, we'll see how that changes over the next couple of years. But how have you guys approached the issue of sustainability, and how have you sort of embraced that and incorporate that into the business, and sort of maybe also how you've leaned on that with customers and really made it a part of, what Collective is?
Yeah, well, it's something that we want to be a part of our identity, like our brand moving forward, and it's something really important to me and Jim. I guess, we want to feel good about what we're doing. We don't want to be harming the environment. We want to be reducing our impact as much as we can. So first and foremost, just setting up the recycling and doing that kind of the little things you can be doing in a warehouse to just reduce the waste that's coming in and that we're putting out. But we recently joined 1% for the Planet.
And do you want to just tell everyone just a little more about what 1% for the Planet is? Yeah,
so it was founded by Yvonne Chonard, founder of Patagonia as well. So basically we just donate 1% of net profits to the organisation, and then on our behalf they donate it to charities across all different sectors. Yeah, and probably just in addition to that, I guess it was key for us to be purpose driven, and the purpose for us was obviously A, the client focus, and B, just being a sustainable practice, which in the logistics world is not the easiest, but something that we're looking to achieve, and whether it's through the 1% donating for the planet or whether it's being carbon neutral. Yeah, because you guys want to just say a little bit about what your sort of plans are for the carbon neutral piece. Yeah, as well. Exactly. So pretty much we measure the carbon footprint that we offer, and then we pretty much offset that by donating to charities, which whether it's the tree planting or whether it's the waste investments and forth, but we offset all of our carbon footprint, which makes us entirely neutral, which is something I don't believe any other logistics businesses are currently doing. What would you say to, I guess, another business that wanted to start taking some steps down that pathway? Like, as in, how do you how do you go and find this information? How do you go start measuring your footprint and start making some changes to make the business a little bit more? Yeah, well, the businesses that you partnership, whether it's 1% for the planet or carbon neutral, which is literally the business we partner with, they kind of step you through that process. It's super straightforward, but I guess what it does for us is just gives us that purpose and gives us that sense of motivation. We're not just another service around the corner. We want to be more than that. Yeah.
So that's pretty much our key.
Yeah, a lot of online resources, but yeah, we kind of just delved into it, and yeah, got the ball rolling, and it's something that we've done since the start, and
do you push to the customers, like to your customers or your clients as well?
Yeah, we do, but it's not really our leading message, but it's part of it. We literally have a breakdown of our business model and what's a priority to us. And it's a small portion of it, but it's not our leading message.
Yeah, I think we want to be working with clients who are as sustainable as possible. But I think it's naturally kind of heading in that direction. We're seeing like the packaging that stuff's coming through the warehouse is biodegradable, and we're using biodegradable satchels.
Little things like that, exactly. We only accept product in biodegradable satchels, which then applies pressure to the client to use biodegradable options and those sorts of things. And whether it's as simple as your paperless picking and packing, or your solar powered, or whatever that may be. It's just those little, features that we offer that hopefully one day do set us apart. And
yeah, we can see it coming. We really think like it down the value chain. Customers, are getting more and more aware as to what brands and companies are doing to either manufacture their product, and I think more so they're going to look into supply chain as well. And we want to be the leaders in that space as well, and truly own like a carbon neutral business, and try and hopefully by us doing that, the brands that we're in connection with, trying to level up what they're doing, and then hopefully that has a flow-on effect. But yeah, we're pretty passionate about that, and I think it's something that it keeps us purpose driven, to do what we do.
Yeah, I think you guys have done an incredible job of incorporating that in already, as well as trying to establish and grow a brand new business. So thanks very much for coming in today, guys. It's been a pleasure working with you on the journey so far, and can't wait to see what you guys smash out over the next few years. And I'm sure we'll touch base with you in some sort of an update along the way, and see where you guys are going. So thanks very much, guys.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it. Cheers.